the Nobel Peace Prize laureate for 2025, and then we will open up for questions. And I will be moderating this event, and we aim to end up by quarter past one at the latest. Please, Jürgen.
Thank you. Being here and talking about these issues has such a gravity that I cannot sit. I have to stand up for this, if you may. Because we gather here today to defend something far more important than either side of political or ideological divide. We gather to defend democracy itself, the very foundation lasting peace rests upon. Democracy is what allows nations to handle conflicts without violence. It turns fear into participation and power into responsibility. And this is what this is all about. Democracy, not dictatorship. Peace, not oppression. Few places show this contrast more clearly than Venezuela. There, the opposition united around a simple, essential demand: free elections and representative government. This shared commitment, despite political differences, is the very heart of democracy. But today, Venezuela faces the opposite. The country has entered one of the most repressive periods in years. The goal is no longer to fill prisons, but to silence those who can mobilize others. Torture, isolation, and inhumane conditions persist across detention centers. Families disappear into the machinery of repression. Fear is their tool of governance. This is what happens when democracy collapses. Freedom gives way to fear, and peaceful politics gives way to violence. It should not be necessary to state the obvious. Democracy is the path to peace. Dictatorship is the path to war and suffering. And yet, in the middle of this repression, stands or sits a woman who refuses to be silenced. For the past 15 months, Maria Corina Machado has lived in hiding. You've moved quietly here, cautiously, knowing that every step carried danger. You've lived with threats that would break people. The regime has declared its intention to erase your voice and even your life. Still, despite this, despite every warning, every danger, every reason to stay away, you are here. And today, as we look at you, we are reminded of something profoundly human. That courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision that something else matters more. That is why we in the Norwegian Nobel Committee wrote in October, as the leader of the democracy movement in Venezuela, Maria Corina Machado is one of the most extraordinary examples of civilian courage in recent Latin American history. But citations and speeches cannot grasp and capture what it means to see you being here in this room, in safety and in dignity. So just let me end with this. From all of us, we are so grateful that you are here. More grateful than any word can express. Grateful that the threats did not stop you. Grateful that fear did not silence you. Grateful that despite every risk to your life, you choose to come. Your presence here is a reminder that hope, courage, and love for your country, love for your family, can outlast repression. Thank you so much for being here.
My turn. I will start by thanking you all, every one of you who's here today. I've met these last hours Venezuelans that have come so far away as Saudi Arabia, Japan, Chile, Canada, people from all over our country, and they are proud to say so. I'm so glad to be able to see you and meet you again at Mundo and Mercedes. We're so proud of you, and so looking forward for what we're going to do together very soon for our country. Seeing friends, colleagues that I have not seen in the last 8 or 10 years, but that have stand firm all around the world, closer every day to Venezuela. Nor distance or time have broken that profound link to your country. And everybody says they want to come back. Everybody that I've met in the streets of Oslo say they are preparing their bags to come back home, to build a nation that we'll be so proud of, and that we will always tell our children what this generation has done. I am so grateful, and I have to say it here, to the people that made it possible, men and women, that I could have arrived here today. To all of you, my friends, Venezuelans know, because I've said this before, that every single day of my life I ask myself where I'm most useful to our cause. And when I make that decision consciously, that's where I have been. That's why I've stayed until recently in our country. This day, I had to be here. And it wasn't easy. Sometimes it looked impossible. But so many times we've been told what we wanted to do was impossible. And we have done it. So being here today is a proof of what the Venezuelan people's will and courage and love is capable of achieving. And I arrived a little late, but I'm here, and I think that God has its ways, because my words couldn't have been better expressed by someone of a generation that has not known democracy or lived in freedom, but they have learned from their fathers, mothers, and grandparents what it requires. And these hard children are willing to give their life for something they have never known. So that's why I'm convinced we have the best generation of Venezuelans ever, ready to finish our job. Not only to liberate our country, but to build a nation with strong pillars, ethical pillars, that will represent the new democratic institution for centuries to come. That's the magnitude of the responsibility we have. And now, if you allow me, I want to say a few words in Spanish, porque quiero hablarle a todos los venezolanos que están aquí y que están en Venezuela. Todos sabemos que este ha sido un reconocimiento para cada uno de nosotros, 30 millones de venezolanos, que nos ha unido porque hemos celebrado en todos los rincones de Venezuela, y en Venezuela a veces por dentro, a veces en iglesias, a veces solo en las cocinas de nuestras casas porque no se podía celebrar en las calles, pero en tantas ciudades alrededor del mundo. Y mi deber era venir a recoger este premio para llevarlo de vuelta a los venezolanos. Y pronto estaré de vuelta en Venezuela, y sé que muy pronto ustedes también. Y vamos a demostrarle al mundo que no solamente nos merecemos este premio, sino que realmente esta generación entera pasará a la historia de la humanidad, porque lo que hemos hecho ha sido enorme y ha demostrado, como lo dije, o lo dijo Ana Corina ayer, que al final freedom certainly requires democracy, and I started wrong. Peace requires democracy, and you cannot have democracy unless you conquer and defend freedom. And at the end, to maintain freedom, and it is a personal, conscious decision, it requires a lot of courage, civic courage, as you have said. And an individual and a society is willing to do everything, and it takes a lot of courage when the things you love most in life, most dearly, are threatened. So at the end, it is an act of love. Ultimately, peace is an act of love. And I think that's the lesson we have given ourselves. And we hope that these, can be helpful and inspirational to other nations as well. So thank you very much to all of you, the committee, and the Institute, and certainly to the Norwegian people that have shown us also much love in these hours. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I now already see more hands than I can possibly register and than I can possibly accommodate. So this is going to be unfair, and I apologize in advance. But I already have a few names on a few people on my list. APT first. Please introduce yourselves and your affiliation.
Thank you, Pierre from AFP. Congratulations too. I realize that you cannot say much about the circumstances under which you left your country, but could you say at least if you have the feeling that the Venezuelan authorities have tried to hinder you from attending the Nobel ceremony, have tried to prevent you from attending the Nobel ceremony yesterday, and to which extent did you benefit from help from the US authorities?
Thank you. Thank you. Well, for the reasons you mentioned, I cannot give details because these are people that could be harmed. Certainly the regime would have done everything to prevent me from coming. They did not know where I was in hiding in Venezuela, so it was hard for them to stop me. It was rude, nonetheless. And yes, we did get support from the United States government to get here.
Thank you. And I have to ask everybody to limit yourself to one question and not follow Pierre's example of sneaking two questions into one. That's an old, well-known trick, and it did work in this instance. It may not work again. Please, with the light hair there, yes. Please wait for the microphone so that we can hear.
Soy Katia Elliot de la televisión sueca. Muchas felicitaciones. La meta de la oposición venezolana es la transición democrática y la salida del poder de Nicolás Maduro. ¿Considera usted que en algún escenario sería necesario una intervención militar estadounidense para lograr esa meta?
Bueno, muchísimas gracias. Voy a contestar en español porque la pregunta fue en español. Supongo que el público si lo desea. La sociedad venezolana ejerció el derecho al voto y la soberanía popular el 28 de julio del 2024 y de manera aplastante eligió a Edmundo González Urrutia como nuestro legítimo presidente. La sociedad venezolana ha dado todo por una transición a la democracia, en orden y en paz. Quien nos ha dedicado la guerra a los venezolanos ha sido el régimen de Maduro, que ha sido calificado como terrorismo de Estado por la Comisión Interamericana de Derechos Humanos y crímenes de lesa humanidad por las Naciones Unidas. El régimen de Maduro se apoya en regímenes totalitarios de otras partes del mundo para atacar y dañar a millones de venezolanos. Rusia, Irán, Cuba, grupos terroristas como Hezbollah, Hamas, los carteles de la droga, o la guerrilla colombiana, que están ocupando Venezuela. Esa es la verdadera ocupación. Nosotros le pedimos al mundo, sí, ayuda para bloquear el ingreso de estos recursos que provienen de actividades ilegales, que es lo que soporta la estructura represiva del régimen. Y eso viene por tráfico de armas, por tráfico de drogas, por tráfico de oro, por tráfico de seres humanos. Y sí, así como el régimen se apoya en sistemas criminales, nosotros necesitamos que las democracias del mundo apoyen a los ciudadanos. Gracias.
Una intervención militar.
Maria Corina, would you like to summarize very briefly
In English?
In English, since
Okay,
I apologize, but there are some of us who don't know Spanish. So we'd like to learn.
I thought that after
I suspect I'm not the only one in the
2
room.
intense days, you had at least. No, I was asked if you were supporting an intervention from the United States, and I said that Venezuela has been already been occupied by forces from totalitarian regimes such as Russia, Iran, Cuba, and criminal groups such as Hezbollah, the drug cartels, and the Colombian guerrilla. And as the regime seeks support and gets support from these totalitarian regimes, we, the Venezuelan people that have tried every single, institutional means, ask support from the democratic nations in the world to cut those resources that come from illegal activities and support of repressive approaches. And that's why we are certainly asking the world to act. It's not a matter of statements, as you say, it's a matter of actions.
Please, then the woman with the light hair and the yellow key strap. I'm not going to name you, even though I know some of you. Please introduce yourselves.
Gladys Fouché from Reuters. Senora Machado, congratulations.
Thank you.
What is your reaction to the seizure by the US Coast Guard of a crude tanker off the coast of Venezuela? Is it a necessary step to bring about change? Thank you.
Well, it's connected with what I answered previously, because, as I said, the regime is using the resources, the cash flows that come from illegal activities, including the black market of oil, not to give food for hungry children, not for teachers who earn $1 a day, not to hospitals in Venezuela that do not have medicine or water, not for security. They use those resources to repress and persecute our people, to buy arms, to infiltrate the military or movements, to pay for those that commit crimes and repression, to maintain our friends and colleagues in prison. So yes, these criminal groups have to be stopped, and cutting the sources of illegal activities is a very necessary step to take.
Please, with the green shirt there, just behind the previous.
Hi, congratulations on this prize. My name is Heidi Chesset from Bloomberg News. I'm wondering about your plans after you leave Norway. Are you going on a tour in Europe? Are you visiting the US? What will you do before returning to Venezuela? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've been hearing several suggestions about that in the last hours and getting quite a few invitations. But to be absolutely honest, I'm taking one day at a time. There was great uncertainty if I was able to come. So I had not made many plans. So now that I'm here, I certainly want to spend a few hours with my colleagues, friends, and my children. I should make 1 or 2 visits to the doctors, different doctors. After all, it's been more than a year and a half. Certain things I should take care about. And yes, there are some meetings that I believe could be very useful that I do before I go back home.
Please, we are not accepting unsolicited questions. There is a moderator here. please.
They,
be quiet.
I'll translate. They asked me if I
They
could.
ask you?
No, they asked us
Okay.
if I can repeat this question in Spanish. I think it's important.
Okay, that you're welcome to do. As I told you, my Spanish is virtually non-existent.
No, and as I told
Just
you,
ask me and you have to translate.
I'm learning how to deal with the Norwegians. Well, last night the police didn't want me to go out and say hello to the people, and finally we agreed. So it's a dialogue. Me preguntaron cuáles eran mis planes para después de la estadía en Oslo, y le decía a la reportera de Bloomberg que la verdad es que estoy llevando cada día a la vez. Al final no tenía la certeza de que yo vendría, y por lo tanto estoy pensando que es lo más útil para nuestra causa que yo debo hacer. Si quisiera estar algunas horas con mis hijos, con nuestros equipos, que después de todo tenía mucho tiempo sin verlos y hay mucho que trabajar, y siempre en persona se puede ser mucho más eficiente. También tengo que hacer 1 o 2 visitas al médico, y quisiera también tener algunas reuniones antes de regresar a Venezuela.
Here in the dark shirt, yes?
Thank you very much. My name is Monica Buena. I am from Radio Latin America here in Oslo. And this prize has been...
Are you able to speak up a little bit?
Yeah, this prize has been very controversial in Norway. Some people are very happy. The Norwegian society are very happy for you, but other part of the society is not so happy. They say that you constant calling for intervention, international intervention, and you rejection to participate in the dialogues with the opposition and the regime. Don't be aligned with the Norwegian, with the Nobel Peace Prize core principles. So for those people, for those Norwegian citizens that are not so agree with the committee, what do you say to them about take a dialogue as a path to restore democracy in Venezuela? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I have to say that many times in our journey, the truth has been very uncomfortable for some people. And we have paid a high price for telling the truth. And many times it would have been much easier and politically correct to keep in silence. But we decided to speak out. And it brought us sometimes pain and people that wouldn't understand our stances. But at the end, I think that holding to the truth, it's what creates trust, and that's the essence of what we're fighting for. So I respect other people's views, and I know that the situation in Venezuela is very complex. But this morning I had a great conversation at the Parliament, and there were representatives of every single political party in Norway. And I was so impressed to see how a society with institutions can work and passionately defend their ideas, but do it respectfully. And that's precisely what we want in Venezuela. That's what we're fighting for. So I ask anybody, that perhaps, and it's their right to have a doubt, to look further into what's truly at stake in Venezuela right now. And this is not only the unity of the opposition, but I insist it's the unity of the whole nation, what has happened in our country.
Please allow Venezuelans to ask questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alison Humphrey from Sky News. President Trump has said that Nicolas Maduro's days are numbered. You've spoken about people of Venezuela returning home very soon. what level of coordination is going on between yourself and the US administration about the day after Maduro goes, the weeks after?
Well, we are not involved at all in the decisions or operations that regard to the national security of other countries. I mean, every country has its own right for legitimate defense, and when they feel that their national security is at stake, they act accordingly. We have been working hard, not only with the US government, but other governments in Latin America and Europe, in terms of explaining in detail what we are, how we are prepared for the first 100 hours and the next 100 days in a country that has a multidimensional crisis. It's not only the humanitarian crisis, the financial crisis, the public services crisis, the security crisis, all together. So it's quite a challenge that President Edmundo González and his team have, but I want to assure you that very talented, experienced, and honest professionals within Venezuela and abroad are working together, and we have the plans and teams ready to take control on day one.
The man with the white earpiece there, excuse me. Yes, please. You have the mic. Please wait for the mic.
Hola, mi nombre es Alejandro Hernández de Venezuela. Preguntarte, María Corina, ¿qué está previsto en esta etapa para, cuáles son los pasos siguientes en esta etapa? ¿Cómo podrías dibujar la ruta que viene en estos próximos días o en el corto plazo? Y si su vuelta a Venezuela está prevista, aunque Maduro aún siga al frente del poder.
Bueno, mi vuelta a Venezuela será cuando pensemos que las condiciones propicias en términos de seguridad y no depende de la salida o no del régimen. Será lo antes posible. Lo que tenemos todos claro, Alejandro, es que hemos hecho un esfuerzo extraordinario en estos meses de persecución, así como innovamos en el crear el movimiento para triunfar en una elección absolutamente controlada por el régimen, en términos que yo creo que ningún otro país habría aceptado. También estamos ahora innovando en la organización de una sociedad que está bajo la brutal represión. Y esto ha crecido enormemente. El premio Nobel además nos ha dado una inyección de energía a la gente y se ha disparado aún más la gente que ha querido involucrarse. Y lo que hay que seguir es preparándose para la transición, aumentando la presión externa y manteniendo y avanzando en la coordinación externa, que incluye, entre otras cosas, lo que preguntaba aquí antes tu colega, de que el mundo tenga muy claro cuáles son los planes y las áreas de cooperación que se van a requerir durante el periodo de transición. You want this in English?
If brief, yes, please.
Okay.
Sure, I'm not the only one.
I follow instructions. Well, he asked me what are the next steps, and if my return to the country was conditioned to Maduro leaving or not power. I said that I'm going back to Venezuela regardless of when Maduro goes out. He's going out, but it's going to be determined in terms of what is the moment when I finish to do the things that I came out to do. And it's the proper conditions to go back, I will go back. And the next steps include, keep on growing our citizen organization in clandestinity, and organizing, the citizen movement to be ready when the moment comes, to keep on preparing our teams and plans for the first 100 hours and days, and certainly the coordination with the international allies, not only to finish this phase of our process, but in the transition process, which is going to be critical to have good cooperation with agencies and governments. This morning we were talking about this with your Prime Minister, and we are sure that we will get strong support from Norway. And we have a lot to learn from your institutions, the Energy Agency and other areas in which we will need to work from day one.
Woman with the grey cardigan, very close to the mic.
Thank you. I'm Corina Machado from Radio Romania, and I was wondering when the day will come, what institutions you will internally reform first? Will this be police, justice? Thank you.
Thank you. That's a challenging question because the right answer would have to be all. Venezuela's institutions have been absolutely devastated. Of course, there is a priority, and the priority is always the people. But having said that, there are many areas that are connected. I mean, you cannot have a vibrant economy that creates jobs if you don't have rule of law. And nobody's going to invest in a country in which you don't have security for the people, for the workers. And so on. How do we choose between education and health and protection to the most vulnerable sectors? I mean, this all has to be addressed, and has to be addressed twofold. As the emergency dimension, because people need to feel in their bodies and souls on day one what the arrival of freedom means, on day one. And also on a second level, the profound reforms, transformations we need to do and to build up this new institutional frame that will have to last for a long time. So we will need to work very fast on the security, police, and military side. We need to work very fast on the justice area. We need to put order in our economy and public accounts. We need to create conditions and incentives for international investment to come. And certainly the most important, we have to get the Venezuelan citizens involved and be co-responsible of everything that we're going to do.
Thank you. The woman with the dark hair. Yes? Please wait for the mic.
Shazia Majid from Bergenstown here in Norway. Madam Laureate, you took a huge risk coming to Oslo. There's a huge risk when you go back. What if you cannot go in? Will that weaken, your absence weaken the resistance on the ground?
As I said, it was a decision that we reflected extensively. Of course, some people that love me and care for me thought it was not necessary. On the contrary, I think it was one of the most important and urgent decisions I had to make. I had to be here. And I believe that the risk, even though it was very high, it was worthwhile. And of course, the risk of going back perhaps is higher, but it's always worthwhile. And I'll be back in Venezuela, I have no doubt.
So the man with the glasses there and the gray shirt.
Two men with gray shirts.
I'm being hijacked here. Okay, you'll get your chance.
He has glasses.
Felicitaciones, soy Anatoly Kurbanov de New York Times. Por respeto de moderadoras, voy a hacer esta pregunta en inglés. You've been very clear that you want to focus international attention on what's happening inside Venezuela, on the suffering and abuse happening inside Venezuela. And at the same time, I know you have been frustrated by attempts by some Western media to view your movement, view your work through the prism of American politics, of partisan tensions inside the United States. At the same time, you have dedicated this prize to President Trump. Can you explain this apparent dissonance?
Well, I think it's absolutely coherent. the war that Maduro has declared towards the Venezuelan people has brought us, as I always insist, great pain and destruction. I believe we have never seen this kind of violence against innocent people in our country's history. It has been called state terrorism by the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights. State terrorism inside towards our people, narco-terrorism towards other nations in the region. So I believe every country has the right to defend themselves. In our case, I believe that President Trump's actions have been decisive to reach the point where we are right now, in which the regime is weaker than ever, because the regime previously thought that they could do anything. They felt they had absolute impunity. They could torture, they could disappear, they could sexually assault young women, and absolutely nothing was going to happen. The cost was zero. Now they start to understand that this is serious and the world is really watching. So you create incentives for that behavior to stop. You need to raise the cost of staying in power and lowering the cost of leaving power. Only when you do that, this regime will break down. And that's where we're moving towards right now.
The very final question goes to the gentleman there with Glenn with the glasses and the gray shirt.
Maria Corina, Luis Carlos Díaz de PITV. En este momento hay madres y hermanas y familiares de presos políticos buscándolos porque están en desaparición forzada. Hay miembros de tu equipo que están incomunicados, que han sido víctimas de tortura. Estás acá. ¿Qué mensaje tienes para todas estas personas que están en Venezuela, que no pueden celebrar en público y que están esperando ser bien representados?
Te agradezco mucho la pregunta, Luis Carlos, porque además sé que todos los periodistas venezolanos que están aquí han sido la voz de miles y miles de hermanos y compañeros, incluyendo a Rafael, a Henry, a Perky, Nora, Katy, Gabito. En el camino, confieso esto, que fue sobre todo una etapa muy difícil, la forma de conseguir un poco de tranquilidad fue empezar a recordármelos uno por uno y a nombrarlos uno por uno. Y me dio mucha fuerza, ¿no? Porque al final esto que estamos haciendo es por ellos. A mí me ha tocado anunciarle a madres que sus hijos han sido detenidos. Y déjame decirle que ha sido el momento más desgarrador y difícil de mi vida. Y en este tiempo, en estos 16 meses, dedico todos los días tiempo a hablar con familiares, sean hijos, esposas, madres de muchos de nuestros compañeros, algunos yo no ni los conocía. Ayer cuando pude abrazar a mis hijos, yo pensaba en ellos, Flor, la mamá de María. En ese instante yo decía, Dios. Y madres que no han visto a sus hijos en más de 10 años porque se han tenido que ir del país, ¿no? Y les digo, es difícil que el mundo entienda lo que ha sido la separación de la familia para los venezolanos. Y fue una estrategia intencional para quebrarnos, ¿saben? Porque pensaron que con eso iban a hacer la sociedad venezolana más débil. Tú fracturas la familia, sumerges a la gente en la tristeza, ¿no? Y fíjense que al final eso se convirtió en la gran fuerza que nos ha unido y que ha derribado todas las barreras. Es decir, nuestros hijos de vuelta en casa, los presos, los perseguidos, los que se han ido. Y yo siento que no ha habido una generación de venezolanos mejor preparada para eso. El dolor nos ha unido y no hay otra generación que ame la familia, la libertad y su tierra, el poder recorrer tu país como esta generación. Son nuestros héroes y son los primeros homenajeados, cada uno de ellos, con este honor que nos han ofrecido. That's a long answer. It's about the political prisoners.
Is it possible to say?
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it as quick as possible. He was asking me that I was able to embrace my children. How do I think the political prisoners feel? And I was telling them that on my way here, I was going through the names of our friends and colleagues that are currently under detention or disappeared, and remembering so many times I had to call some mothers to give them the news that their child has been taken by the regime, and that's one of the hardest moments I have gone through in my life. But I'm, what we're doing is precisely for that, so that every Venezuelan mother can hug their children in Venezuela very soon. And that's the reason why I'm here. And believe me, seeing you, each of you, has given me so much energy and strength, and I'm going recharged back home. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Maria. Please. I know I already said it was the last question, but I'm going to ask you, Maria, would you be comfortable with us extending this with a few minutes?
Yes, of course.
If you're comfortable with that,
yes.
We will exploit your seemingly unlimited energy.
Even further.
And we will still wind up before 5:30. So again, a lot of people will not have the chance to ask their questions. I apologize for that. Please, I am the moderator, and unless there is discipline in the room, we will have to abrupt the session, and I hate to do that. So please bear with me. I know I'm not able to be fair. It's impossible to register 100 arms at one and the same time and see exactly which one was a split second before the other one. We have one woman here at the front. Yes, please. The microphone will come your way.
Hi, Maria Corina, Natasha Quena from Chile, from Mega Noticias. I'm going to do the question in Spanish. Me gustaría saber su perspectiva latinoamericana. Hay muchos venezolanos que se han ido de su país. Chile ha recibido a muchos, es uno de los países que más ha recibido venezolanos. ¿Qué mensaje tiene para ellos y también para las autoridades, considerando que este domingo hay elecciones y podría haber un endurecimiento de las políticas migratorias?
Gracias. Como dije antes, la migración ha sido uno de los procesos más desgarradores para nuestro país. Y tenemos venezolanos en todas partes del mundo. En particular, estamos muy agradecidas a aquellos países agradecidos que los han acogido, recibido e integrado a sus costumbres, a su economía. Y entendemos que la llegada de cientos de miles o millones de ciudadanos de otra nacionalidad puede generar tensiones internas. Al final, lo que nosotros queremos es que todos regresen y que mientras permanezcan en estos países, estos gobiernos entiendan que se han ido en contra de su voluntad y que salvo escasísimas excepciones son gente súper competente, súper preparada y que está aportando muchísimo los países donde va. En el caso de Chile, espero que se mantenga un espacio de respeto y de bienvenida a los venezolanos hasta que regresen muy pronto a Venezuela. Gracias. She was asking me about the Venezuelan migrants and that there's a presidential election next Sunday in Chile, and I'm saying that we do ask, we are first grateful to countries and governments that had received so many Venezuelan migrants that are hardworking and honest and family-loving individuals, and that we hope that they keep protection until they are able to come voluntarily back home.
We have a woman there with a grey sweater.
Please, Mexico here, please. Mexico here.
Sí, muchas gracias María Corina. Soy Ingrid Pádez de Clase Campbell. Hace una semana usted dio una entrevista a nuestro periódico y en esa entrevista usted afirmó que
Bueno, hago otra pregunta entonces. ¿Cuáles son sus aliados principales en Europa? Porque ustedes firmaron la Declaración de Madrid y quería preguntarte, la Declaración de Madrid y esta unión de partidos políticos, ¿qué tan importante sea para tu proyecto político y para la gente de Venezuela?
Nosotros hemos logrado construir una coalición, un movimiento de apoyos internacionales, de partidos, de movimientos, de gobierno, que va a todo lo largo del espectro, digamos, ideológico. Y nuestro presidente Edmundo González Urrutia ha sido recibido por presidentes, primeros ministros en Europa y en otras partes del mundo, de distinta orientación doctrinaria, porque al final se entiende que nuestra lucha está por encima de estas diferencias que son absolutamente legítimas y necesarias en una democracia, si tienen que ver con principios. No, parece muy lamentable que hayan algunos gobiernos que a esta altura en Europa no estén asumiendo la realidad y la naturaleza de lo que vivimos en Venezuela, pero hay otros, y hoy lo vimos aquí en el caso de Noruega, que llaman las cosas por su nombre y que están dispuestos a asumir la posición de la verdad, de los derechos humanos y del pueblo, que al final es quien eligió. Así que yo estoy muy optimista de que esta coalición internacional, ahora con el premio Nobel, se va a fortalecer y ampliar mucho más también.
Maria Corina, yesterday,
I was going to give you the word. You're about to lose it. That was a mistake. We have the woman here in the yellow jacket first. I am sorry, but somebody needs to be the boss here.
Hola María Corina, ¿cómo estás? Carla Angola de TVB Network. Quería si por favor podías ampliar un poquito sobre lo que dijiste del apoyo de Estados Unidos para tu salida de Venezuela. Si en esa agenda de la que hablas pudiera venir después de tus exámenes de aterrizar, ¿no?, a la vida de nuevo, si estás esperando una reunión con Trump. Y también preguntarte cuándo es el deadline, porque sabes que la prensa ha especulado mucho en Estados Unidos sobre si se le dio un ultimátum, sobre si lo había pasado, sobre si ya Trump le pidió definitivamente salir del país, sacar a su hija, a su hijo, a su esposa, a su mujer. Él pidió indemnizar o darle impunidad a 100 miembros de su equipo. Pero no estoy hablando de fechas, sino de hasta dónde se extiende esto, en el sentido de que ya estamos en el momento en el que Maduro debería tomar una decisión, ¿no? ¿Cuándo entonces, si no la toma, lo hacen los aliados? Esa es mi pregunta. Gracias, María Corina.
Gracias, Carla. Yo también dije antes que vamos un día a la vez, y también he dicho muchas veces que yo no voy a especular sobre las estrategias o las acciones que tienen gobiernos extranjeros en materia de sus políticas de defensa nacional. Y desconozco si algún gobierno, en este caso el presidente de los Estados Unidos, tiene o no tiene un deadline. Nosotros vamos hasta el final. Esa es nuestra posición siempre.
¿Crees que la gente de Venezuela se resigne con su salida del país?
Ajá, para terminar aquí,
Si lo puedes decir en español.
Ajá.
¿Cómo te ayudó Estados Unidos?
Ajá, yo di la información que puedo dar, que conviene dar, ante una pregunta de si nosotros habíamos recibido apoyo del gobierno de los Estados Unidos para que yo pudiera llegar a Oslo, y la respuesta es sí. Y solamente para terminar la pregunta de más atrás, todo lo contrario. Yo siento que los venezolanos dentro y fuera de Venezuela están muy felices, muy emocionados de que pude estar aquí en representación de ellos, y que, como dije antes, voy a regresar a nuestro país a llevarle su premio.
Thank you. You want to give us short synopsis?
Yeah,
please. Please.
She asked me if I knew about President Trump's ultimatum and if I had received support.
Right.
And I said that I have no information regarding the first issue, and that I had affirmed that we did get support from the U.S. government in order to arrive in Oslo.
Okay, the woman at the back gets...
Perseverance.
The thing is, you would get me anyhow. I don't want you to lose it, but please be silent. This is the last question. We are now going to wind up. I know there are another 100 people in the audience who would have liked to ask questions.
They need to go to the forum. They have the activity.
Ayer escuchamos del presidente del Nobel de la Paz que dijo Maduro step down y reconoce el resultado de las elecciones. Lo dijo claramente. Entonces mi pregunta es, ¿cuál es tu mensaje para Maduro? Y si nos puedes compartir si tú quieres correr para la presidencia de tu país. Gracias.
Gracias. Y te felicito por la perseverancia.
Gabriela Sotomayor, México, Proceso, soy corresponsal en Naciones Unidas y te vi hace muchos años y hemos corrido varios años con esta historia. Gracias.
Al final, la decisión ha sido de los venezolanos. Los venezolanos logramos, en condiciones extremas, Gabriela, donde nadie creía que era posible, nos dijeron es una locura, es imposible, pudimos demostrar lo que nosotros queremos. De manera que aquí lo que nosotros estamos defendiendo y vamos a impulsar es la voluntad de los venezolanos. La segunda parte de tu pregunta fue sobre... Ah, sí, yo voy a esperar a la presidencia. One day at a time. Primero lo primero.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, you want to say that in English?
In English,
Yes,
or
really.
she asked me if I was planning to run for president. And I said that one day at a time. And, first come first. We're going to liberate Venezuela. Edmundo González Urrutia was elected president, and we will rebuild institutions so that we will have free and fair elections in which every Venezuelan inside and outside our country will have the right to vote without fear and with trust. And that's the sequence that will move ahead. We'll be the envy of the world. Sorry for saying that. We'll be the envy of the world with the electoral system. We'll have the judicial system. We have the educational system. We have the public health system. We'll have, and people will look and ask, "Oh, how did you do that? That was impossible." And we will have made it again, made possible what everybody thought was impossible. That's the Venezuelan style. Thank you.
Thank you for a translation. And sorry for... Unfortunately, we are winding up. I apologize to all those who didn't get a chance to ask their questions. It's been quite an intense 24 hours. We say thank you to Maria Corina Machado. Thank you to Jürgen Wattler-Früdnis, and thank you to everybody for being here.
Thank you.
Corina, para Venezuela te queremos preguntar, tú hablas con tu base, con tu exterior y con el 70% de la población, ¿qué le tendrías que decir, María Corina, a ese porcentaje de personas que han seguido el gobierno al chavismo y que temen que la transición haya algún tipo de...
este es el mío.